everyone, this is Kim Snyder with Train and Simple, and welcome to screencast number 4. In this screencast, I'm going to show you an API method for tagging a contact when they open an email, which is in response to this thread in the Infusionsoft forum. It's in the marketing automation section, and just quickly, the question says, yes, I know that open rates are unreliable. Yes, I know that I can manually search on an email campaign report and manually tag detected opens. Nevertheless, I'm looking for the most straightforward way to automatically tag a contact when Infusionsoft detects that a broadcast email has been opened. Infusionsoft says that it can't be done. Surely there is a workaround. And there is, in fact, a workaround. In fact, there are a couple. This one, which is an API option, as well as a non-API option, and I will talk about both and why I prefer this one. But they both work. So let me just show you how this works. There is basically 3 steps just to give you an overview. Step number 1 is when we create the broadcast email, we're going to put an HTML snippet in the email which calls a little script. That script is going to apply the tag and also render the image, which happens to be just a little 1 pixel, 1 by 1 pixel image. And that's all there is to it. It's really quite simple. There is a shortcoming with this method, which is that it really only works for broadcast emails. It does not work for individual emails, because when you try to send an individual email from a contact record, for example, you see the template, and the template actually opens the image and triggers the script. So, but from a broadcast, it does not. So anyway, I'll show you what this looks like. So our first step is going to be to create an email. And so I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to do a new search. I have a couple of contact records set up that have a tag here called email tracking list. And so I believe there are 3 of those. I use my dogs as test accounts, so that's who we're going to be sending to. So we've got 3 test emails that we can send to. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to change this actually. We're going to just go to, drag and drop builder. Let me make my page a little bit bigger so you guys can see this, hopefully. And I'm not going to really bother at all with any of this other than to just grab an HTML snippet, since this is just for illustration purposes. And so what we're going to do, we're going to just grab this HTML snippet and we're going to paste some code in here. And I actually wrote the code down here. I had it there too. So what this is, you can see this is an image tag in HTML, but instead of the source being an image file, which is what it normally would be, it would say .jpeg or something at the end. This is a PHP file, a little script that I'm going to show you called track_emails.php, and we're passing to that script a query string that has the contact ID in it. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to put this in the HTML snippet like that. Okay? And say save. Now, what the, and that's a non-visible HTML element. Fine. So let's talk about what this script does here. Well, here, let's save this. And, okay. So let's go to the script itself. So here's our script, track_emails. The first part of this script, make this a little bigger also. This part of the script right here is your connection to the Infusionsoft API. Okay, So that is standard stuff. You use it every time you connect. Right here, what this does is this is an API call which applies a tag, because that was the question. How do we apply a tag? Now, you could do any number of actions here, but just so happens for the purposes of this one, we're going to apply a tag. So what you can see is what we've got. We have the contact ID, which was passed in, so we're going to assign that to a variable called contact ID. Group ID in the API world, Infusionsoft API world anyway, group means tag. So we're saying tag ID is 1183, and then we're using this little API call here from the SDK, where what we're saying is we're using group assign. So you can imagine what that does. Group assign assigns a tag or applies a tag to this contact ID, this tag ID. So we're going to apply 1183 to whoever we sent the email to. And 1183 is just a tag that I created, which says email tracking. That's the name of the tag. Okay, and then, so we've applied the tag. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send an image into the email. We're going to render it from the server side. And normally what you would do here is you would make this a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image, and you would make it white so that no one could see it. But in order to illustrate it, I made it big and orange. So instead of 1 pixel by 1 pixel, I made it 1 by 1, which is this line right here. Okay, image create 100 by 100. Okay, you'll change this to 1 by 1. And then here under background color, which is a variable, this is the RGB values. So if you put 255, 255, 255 here, that would be white, but I made it orange. Okay? And then that's actually it. That's the entire script. This is just a comment where I put that HTML snippet in here. So that's our script. It's saved on our server here under scripts, right somewhere. Oh, here, track emails. So what's going to happen is when this email gets opened and that image, that little image, in this case the big orange image, appears on the screen, it's because that script, which got called in the image tag, has executed and therefore tagged them. So let's see how this is going to work. I'm going to close this builder. Okay, and see that big orange image? I told you, that's my 100 by 100 image that would normally you would have be invisible, but I don't, just so that you knew it was there. So what's going to happen now is let's send this to our broadcast group, and we'll call this email tracking test. All right, we have 3 test recipients in our group. I'm going to say, yeah, we don't care about any of that. And we're going to say, oops, need to do that. And we're going to say send. So we're sending to 4 people. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go over here and pull those contact records up. It's these 3 here, my dogs. So see that this is run. 4 emails sent. Okay, so if I go, those came to me, so there you go. Here's our email tracking, and when I open them, this one went to me. By the way, here, display images. I have to just see, this is one of the drawbacks, of course. If someone has their images turned off, then the script never gets called. But he said he understood that, right? So hi Nessa, thank you. Here's our image. So now if we go to Nessa's record, because I turned on images and that image displayed, now if I go to Nessa's record, Nessa's behind me going, who? Why are you talking to me? See, this was the tag I used to pull the list, but this was the tag that we applied saying that she had opened it. Now, and just to show you, if I go back, because Drita has not opened it yet. So if I look at hers, oh boy, she's got a bunch of stuff in here, but she only has that process tag called email tracking list, meaning I use that to pull the list. Same here. She only has email tracking list, but Nessa, because she actually opened the email, has this broadcast tag as well. Okay, so that shows you that it works. It applies the tag when they open the email as long as images are displayed. And just to explain to you why you can't do it in as an individual email, let's take this record here, Dritadog. And if I was to go in here and try to send this email from here, as an example, send an email, and I pull up this template, which I could do, the problem with it is going to be email, what did I call that? I don't think I even saved it as a template. Well, I can show you using another one I did right here, email tracking 2, so that, and say submit. The problem is going to be this right here. I haven't even sent it to Drita yet, and there's our orange square, meaning it's applied it to her record. Look, I won't send it, and let's just go back to our list here, back to search results, and you're going to see that now if I look at her tags, now both tags are applied and I never actually sent the email. So that is a downside. It really only works in a broadcast. So cancel that. Now there is a different workaround which is does not use the API. And that workaround is one that Tyler Garnes figured out. And that is, instead of, in the image file, instead of calling a PHP file or script, you can actually also put in a automation link. So if you create an automation link, for example, that applies the tag, let me just show you. What you would be doing in here, and please don't rely on my formatting because, well, I think I have it here. Yeah, it's this. So, so you would be doing this. And again, I didn't come up with this. This is something Tyler Garnes came up with. Right, you do this instead, where link 664 is an automation link that you created in the email which applied the tag. Now, and that works too, and it has the same limitations and shortcomings as well. The reason I like the API version rather than this version, pros and cons to both. This one, obviously, you don't have to know the API. So it's a non-API version. The reason, of course, I know the API, I use it almost every day for little things like this. But the reason I like this is just because I feel like, number one, I have a lot more control over it, and number two, if Infusionsoft makes a change, that they could break well, Tyler's, and it would stop working, whereas, my script is, it's a script, it's going to run. So I feel like, number one, I can get much more um, specific. I could do 50 actions here. I have a lot more control, and I have a lot more confidence that it's not going to break. I'm surprised that ran because that should actually have a semicolon after it. But anyway, so that's how it works, and I hope you found this helpful. And if I can help you or answer any questions, please feel free to let me know. I also want to just make sure that you know that at Train and Simple we do an API for Beginners Learning Lab. We also have a regularly scheduled intro to the API webinar, which if you have any interest at all in learning the API, I hope you will join us for that. And we also have a number of these webcasts published on the website, so feel free to poke around. There's lots of free resources, and we're adding more every day. So I hope to see you either poking around the website or on a webinar real soon. Thanks, everybody.